and Postal Services has announced that the government has acquired a device capable of identifying individuals who use social media platforms to spread hate speech and incite violence. The Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Akwe Bonamalwal, has traveled to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia for talks on the final status of Abyei. And Sudan's Deputy Chairman of the Transitional Sovereign Council, Malik Agar Arieh, has come to Juba for a high-level bilateral visit aimed at strengthening relations between South Sudan and Sudan. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Lasuba Memo, and now the news in detail. The National Minister of Information, Communication, Technology and Postal Services has announced that the government has acquired a device capable of identifying individuals who use social media platforms to spread hate speech and incite violence. Speaking on Saturday at a public gathering in Juba, Minister Teng Wekateng said the misuse of social media in South Sudan has exceeded the limits of press freedom and can no longer be tolerated, particularly amid the country's current political tensions and insecurity. The minister warned that individuals will be held accountable even if they lend their phones to others who use them to spread online abuse. He said authorities will identify the phone and network used and will hold the phone owner responsible for knowingly allowing misuse. Ateng described the announcement as a warning and an alert to the public, urging citizens to advise friends and relatives to avoid engaging in activities that could lead to legal trouble. The minister further outlined the legal consequences for those found guilty of online abuse, stating that offenders will be arrested, taken to court, and if convicted, sentenced to prison in accordance with the law. Ateng said that suspects will not be tortured or harmed but will be tried legally. Addressing concerns over the enforcement of the Cybersecurity and Computer Misuse Act, Minister Teng clarified that existing laws already provide sufficient grounds to prosecute cyber-related offenses. He cited the Criminal Procedure Act of 2008 and provisions under the National Security Act of 2013 as amended in 2015 as covering cyberbullying and online incitement. He explained that the Cybersecurity and Computer Misuse Act will establish a regulatory authority staff with qualified professionals to oversee its implementation. The minister also noted that the Cybercrime and Computer Misuse Bill passed by the Parliament has no limitations in its application and warned social media users against assuming the law is not being enforced. He said the legislation is now in effect and will be applied to all individuals responsible for online abuse. The Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Akwe Bonamalwal, has traveled to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia for talks on the final status of Abyei. The Deputy Minister left Juba on Sunday morning, leading a delegation from the National Committee for the Settlement of the Final Status of Abyei. The delegation includes Deng Byong and Deng Arab Kwol. In October 2025, President Salva Kiir reconstituted the committee and mandated it to engage with the government of Sudan and report directly to him on progress made toward resolving the long-standing Abyei issue. Abyei, an oil-producing region, is claimed by both Sudan and South Sudan. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, the delegation will hold discussions with officials from the African Union and the United Nations aimed at advancing efforts to determine the final status of the disputed region. The Deputy Minister and his delegation were seen off at Juba International Airport by the Undersecretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ambassador Agnes Adlino Orefa Oswaga. Sudan's Deputy Chairman of the Transitional Sovereign Council, Malik Agar Arieh, has come to Juba for a high-level bilateral visit aimed at strengthening relations between South Sudan and Sudan. Agar, who arrived yesterday, was received at Juba International Airport by the Presidential Advisor on National Security Affairs, Stuttgart Luak Manime, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mande Shumaya Kumba, alongside other senior government officials. According to a statement from the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, the Sudanese leader is expected to deliver a written message from Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, President of Sudan's Transitional Sovereign Council, to his counterpart, President Salva Kiir. The ministry said the visit reflects the continued commitment of both Juba and Khartoum to maintaining and strengthening cooperation and partnership between the two countries. This is our Radio Morning News, and now to the international scene. Tens of thousands of people in Mozambique are being rescued as rising waters continue to devastate the southern African nation, the worst flooding in a generation. Teams from Brazil, South Africa and the UK have been helping with life-saving rescue operations. Many areas of south and central Mozambique are underwater after 2 weeks of continuous downpours. According to provisional data from the National Institute for Disaster Risk Management and Reduction, at least 642,122 people have been affected since January 7th by flooding, particularly in southern and central regions, with 12 deaths recorded so far. In total, 125 people have died in Mozambique since the rainy season began in October. A dangerous winter storm has swept across the U.S., leaving at least 3 people dead and cutting power to hundreds of thousands of homes. Schools and roads across the country have been closed and flights have been cancelled as life-threatening conditions stretch from Texas to New England, according to the National Weather Service. At least 2 people died of hypothermia in Louisiana, the state health officials linking their deaths to the storm, and another death was reported in Texas. As of Sunday afternoon, about 900,000 households had lost power, according to Power Outage US. Meanwhile, more than 10,000 flights were cancelled. This is iRadio Morning News, and to end this bulletin, here's a recap of the headlines. The National Minister of Information, Communication Technology and Postal Services has announced that the government has acquired a device capable of identifying individuals who use social media platforms to spread hate speech and incite violence. The Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Akwe Bonamalwal, has traveled to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia for talks on the final status of Abyei. And Sudan's Deputy Chairman of the Transitional Sovereign Council, Malik Agarari, has come to Juba for a high-level bilateral visit aimed at strengthening relations between South Sudan and Sudan. That's the end of iRadio Morning News. If there is a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message at +211 925 287 870. It's also a WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at 8 o'clock. I am Lasuba Memo. Thank you for listening.